Reverend Gooch, good morning. Rejoice, good evening. Bree, rejoice. Sister Katrina, rejoice. Sister Katrina, I'll call you after you and Reverend Gooch after the broadcast. Rejoice, Robin. Crystal, rejoice. Stephen Peoples, rejoice. Katisha, rejoice. Benita, I need to meet with you after the meeting. Kathy Hudson, rejoice. Jazz, rejoice. Bink, rejoice. OC, you send me some ribs. Minister Ebony, rejoice. Otis, rejoice. Krusty, I'm going to call you tomorrow. Dr. Austin, rejoice. The Murphys, rejoice. Got dry. Rejoice. Rochelle, rejoice. Lynn, I miss you, right, Lynn? Hey. Shanice, rejoice. Kim, happy belated birthday, rejoice. Dr. Doldrin, hola. Faye, rejoice. Aye. Brother Sullivan and Sister Shirley, rejoice. Peaches, rejoice. You all got your hotel reservations? Have you called for your hotel reservations? Minister Connie, Lady Conley, Angel, Eric and Raven, rejoice. Okay. Robin says she's booked in. Well, let me know if you got your hotel reservations, because I don't even know if we all booked in. I don't know. Jatera, rejoice. Let's make sure you make those reservations. NBC everywhere. Because a lot of people have already got their reservation. Mrs. Hobbs and Sister Ann, rejoice. Let's get in here. People are dragging today. People are dragging today. Okay, Robert said the Jacksons have their reservations. Peaches, you got your reservation? Danja, rejoice. Jametta, rejoice. Ms. Hobbs says she has a reservation. Big Daddy is on the line. All right, let's get in here. Let's like, love, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get 150 people to subscribe in YouTube. Let's get that YouTube going on. Let's go to YouTube and watch one of my videos and then share it with somebody from YouTube so they'll join and subscribe to our YouTube page. I repeat, go watch one of my videos, something that will bless your heart. Watch one of my videos. Then share that video from YouTube with your people. And then they'll go and then they'll follow us. I need at least 150 subscribers on YouTube. Can you help me get that? Okay, go to YouTube. Look at one of my videos and then share it. Okay, Jametta has a reservation. Peaches has a reservation. Oh, what a wonderful time it will be. Go to YouTube. So if you rewatch one of my videos, if there's a video on your heart, watch it in YouTube format and then share it from YouTube. That way I can get some YouTube activity. All right? All right, let's get to work this evening. Did y'all speak to each other? Lady Cousins is in the house this morning. Love you. This afternoon, I don't even know what time of the day it is. Let's get rolling. Let's chop up some things. Let's talk a little bit. Can we chatter today? Can we chatter enough to exchange some dialogue so I can make sure that you have a grasp of where I'm going? Let's pray. Lord bless. The Scots do. All right, the Scots got there. All right. Got their reservation. Jody Yaldi. Hey, Jody, I love you. I love you. Okay, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to briefly talk about, just for a moment so we can get acclimated. I want to talk about walking in wisdom and navigating same. I want to talk about living your life in wisdom. Living your life in wisdom. I want you to share with me what you've learned, one lesson you've learned that's been instrumental in your life. Everybody share. I'm going to do a lot of pausing. I want you to have some dialogue. What's one lesson you shared that was impactful, that you've learned that was impactful? Or one sermon that you heard that was impactful and changed your life? And I'm going to read them aloud. I hope this thing's slow. Hey, Nicole, rejoice. What one sermon you've heard preached that changed your life, or one lesson that you've learned that's changed your life? Hey, Jonathan. Welcome. Hey, Minister Amy. What about it? Under that. Okay. Oh my God, I can't see it. I can't see it. I missed it. I'm a good sugar cookie. Okay, I remember that message, Benita. Okay, yeah, I enjoyed that message. God is not a performance art. Good, Stephen. I remember that message. Okay, we're going to talk about how those things changed your life. Okay, Rochelle, forgiveness does not require reconnection. Go on, girl. Good. That was good. Rochelle, a lesson that I learned is that I'm putting my excuses onto other people called it good. That's good, Jazz. One thing said how much God loves you. Very good, Sister Amy, Minister Amy. I've always returned home after recalculating. Good, Jametta. Protect your paint. Okay, I like that, Big Daddy. Oh, Mavis, the Via Dolorosa. Okay, change your life. Praise God. The formula's good, Nicole. Rejection is part of life. Good, Megan. This needs to journey through. Good. Journey well. Guarding my pain. Oh, you and Israel got the same sermon. Receiving the Holy Spirit, always putting God first. Good, Kathy. I think myself happy. You better use that, Krusty. I like that. You should be in pictures. Go on, Hill. Your brightness is blinding. Now, all of you have come up with some type of antidote or sermon that has changed your life. So now you're going to tell me, Jesus, well, you better go on, Anthony. Now you want to tell me how it changed your life. How did it add to your wisdom pocket? How did it add to your wisdom? Lion versus lioness. I enjoyed that too, Otis. Hey, old 12 toes. Wisdom, Proverbs tells us that wisdom is in the streets. And when it says wisdom is in the streets, that means it's all around us. You gain wisdom from being tuned in. So we're going to be talking about that. But I want to know how those things change your life. How many of you remember when your life was changed? And how it changed it? How did those words change your life? What type of wisdom did it build? Okay, good, Jazz. Good. And I didn't see it myself. Let's see so I can move forward. Good. Release anxiety. Do your best and leave the rest to God. That's it, Megan. I no longer have control of my thoughts. As God is moving and working through me. Good, Robin. I access the power within me and spoke things. It's not. Good, Nicole. It helped me to reclaim power of my own life. Great. Created consistency in my walk. Good, Shanice. Hey, Sherelle Pumpkin. Kanisha stopping in to say hello, family, and God bless. All right, Pumpkin. I know you got class tonight. God bless, Kanisha. My listening and failing, looking back, seeing what happens. Good. Come on, some of y'all are not responding, and I know that there's been things that have changed their life. Good, but it helped to refocus. That grocery cart thing, God taught me how to. Good, Otis, good. My intentions, doing kingdom work. Good, Stephen. And my faults and fix them. Good, Mavis. Okay, Sister Irene said, when I heard you explain the word. Yeah, that's good, Sister Irene. Access your wheelchair every morning. Good, Allison. My failure won't kill me. Good, Jametta. Okay, guys. Now, what you've done, we've got this dialogue going on, and you're sharing with me, and you see that others' lives are being changed too. That's called wisdom. Once we have something or a concept in our head, and it begins to process, we begin to move in that wisdom daily, or we should move in that wisdom daily. And if we don't move in the wisdom daily, then we get caught up on living the life that society lives versus the life that we're supposed to be living. If we take note of things around us, we glean from things because they're in our presence or we're in their presence. So, have you ever found yourself staring off into the abyss maybe, or staring at something and you have no cognitive thought? You just happen to have gotten locked in and you're staring. You know, that is a time where gleaning is most important. We do not want to be idle. We want to make sure that we're tuned in and we're there 100% as often as we can be. And what I'm saying to you is that when we have idle thoughts, the devil usually takes control. It's like idle hands. And so what we have to do, we have to be focused on whatever we see, we can see it for the good. Okay, let me repeat that. Whatever we see, we have to see it with positive vibes only. Whatever we see, if we lean toward the negative of things, then we'll always be moving down that negative path. Wisdom allows me to see things as it is, but then I have to see it through the eyes of God. You write that down, all right? Because wisdom is through the eyes of God. Because there is no wisdom without God. And so what used to be a pile of manure is now fertilizer for your peach garden. You see what I'm saying? I see the doo-doo now. Don't get me wrong. I can smell it. It's doo-doo. Okay? It's dung. It's manure. But when I think of the positive side of it, it is what allows the fertilization of many fruits and plants that I eat. So it's how you see things through the eyes of God. Welcome, Lady Edmonds. And so what happens is when we get burnt in life, or we get burnt in church, or we get burnt somewhere, or we get a nasty taste in our mouth somewhere, the problem is we have difficulties turning that thing around and then looking at it through the eyes of God. It's the same reason why people say, that's why I don't go to church. That pastor had babies in it. You know, man, the church is not about the pastor. The church is about you, and for you to rightly get a word that you can dissect. When we start leaning to the fallacies of humans, we've already closed our eyes to God, meaning we shut down our wisdom. Some of you shut your wisdom down on a daily basis because you're not seeing things through the eyes of God. What we're doing is we're seeing them through the eyes of our natural self. Hey, Demetria, we're seeing through the eyes of our natural self. So if you can get beyond that, this is where your learning takes place. And so sometimes it's difficult for us to set our emotions aside and see exactly what we need to see. Because if we look at everything that happens in society, it's like there's so many propaganda theories. There's so many things that we can look at that would make it negative, when in actuality we're supposed to see things with the eyes of God. So when you begin to see things with the eyes of God, your studying becomes different. You begin to retain things differently. And I use that because one of the worst things in the world is manure, you know. But we need the manure for fertilization. It smells bad. Nobody wants to work with it, but it has its place. First, spit. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am not one who deals with that well. Spit. But it is one of the best lessons taught in the Bible. He used spit. Spittle. And so when we're dealing with things of that nature, it is a wisdom that we need to search for and find while we're gleaning or studying or heeding. Okay? And so some of the things that we get caught up in, we get caught up into the emotional tirade of how we feel versus what God wants to see. And so that's why we begin to try to speak things into existence. That's a part of application. When you speak things into existence, when you believe it by faith, and then you start talking about it and moving by faith that this is what he's going to do in your life, those are the applications of wisdom. What we don't do is we don't access our wisdom when we get up in the morning. We access our normalities. We act like we're not supernatural human beings. We just become normal. And so when we get up in the morning, we act normal, we do normal things, and then we take that normal self to work. Yeah. See, you've got to access your wisdom as soon as you awaken. You've got to move in the wisdom immediately. It's like opening your eyes. You're opening your eyes. You're opening God's eyes through you immediately. But the first thing you do is you either turn on the radio, you listen to one of them jocks, them TV radio jocks, or then you look at the news. So now you're flavored by what's happening in society, but are you looking at it through the eyes of God? Some of you think wisdom is knowing things. That is not what wisdom is. Some of you know a lot of things, but you're not wise. You say, Pastor, how I'm not wise? Because there's no harvest. Wisdom roots harvest. When you have harvest, there's wisdom. When people clamor around you, that doesn't mean you're wise. It could be you just giving yes answers. Wisdom says there's produce. Don't talk to me about certain areas if you don't have produce. You're a farmer. You have 200 acres. You plant crops all year round, but you don't have harvest. So that means how are you going to school me into getting harvest when you don't have any? Are you all understanding? We cannot continue to go through life willy-nilly. And that's what we're doing. We go through life willy-nilly because we think that, I put on enough mink eyelashes and I'm good to go. I get enough injections in my tail and I'm good to go. Men are not getting cut up putting rubbers and things in their breasts for pectorals, not rubbers, saline bags. Don't put rubbers in your chest. Saline bags, and now men are going to have surgery, and there's nothing wrong with that's what you want to do, having calf implants. The wisdom of it is, this is the wisdom. It doesn't matter what you look like, because what you look like is not really what's attracting what you want. If you're using your looks to attract what you want, then you're not wise. Those are wisdoms. So that means if I use what I look like to attract what I want, and eventually my looks change, then I've got to configure myself all over again in order to get something else that I want. As opposed to recognizing that the soul is the most attractive when led by God thing to man. That's wisdom. That's wisdom. There's not enough weave. There's not enough pancake makeup. There's not enough opera pump shoe. There's not enough of those things to go around to keep you complacent. So you're chasing something as opposed to resting and walking in your wisdoms. Now, I want to testify. I want you to testify as well. How many of you think you're pretty wise? How many of you think you're pretty wise? And why? And why? That's good, mate. Weight loss surgery without changing your habits, you'll be back big again. That's good, Robin. So, what I want us to do in walking in our wisdom, what I want us to do is recognize the three things that we need to take note of. We need to study, okay? Study is to learn. How do we learn? How do you learn? Some people learn by touch. Some people learn by reading. Other people learn by gleaning. How do you learn? So some people learn through memorization. How do you learn? So once you identify how you learn, this is the key, then everything that you learn must apply to that. Once you identify what works for you, quit hanging out in somebody else's learning class. Quit hanging out in somebody else's pod. Once you know how you learn, for instance, maybe just picked up, I learned by hearing. Okay, then maybe she does the Bible audibly. Rochelle says, I learned by seeing. Okay, so that means you have to fix your eyes on things that will keep your attention and keep you focused. Once you identify, I'm trying to tell you all the time, you all are so busy trying to get with something or someone that you're not focusing on what you need to be the best you can be. Once you become the best you can be, then all these steps will become easy to you. The wisdoms will come to you. Okay, so how do you learn? Benita says she has to be active in it. Reading, then hands-on for Danja. Okay? Okay. You know, I want to know why a man takes the instructions to a shelf and put them across the room and build a shelf without the instruction. What's that? Is that wisdom? I want to know where that comes from. But see, those are the natural things that I notice that men do, but is it wise? So now after you realize that you've hit a brick wall, then you've got to decide, was that wise for me? Should I have kept the instructions closer to me? Let's talk about the little girl with the Gorilla Glue. I mean, you know, things of that nature. Are those things wise? What are you trying to achieve? Do you know who you are? When you don't know who you are, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to be the vessel of wisdom. Because you'll be just like a donut. You'll be turning left and right. And so every time you have to change, you ought to understand it. You're not connected to yourself. So then you want others to connect to you, which causes chaos, without you being connected to God. Is that too much? Okay, because I think I'm giving you too much because I'm not sitting comfortable with it. Let me go back again. The process of wisdom is a place where you are relaxed with your relationship with God, and you relax with how He allows you to see things. That was good. Now, I hope I can repeat that. Where you're relaxed with God, and you relax with how He allows you to see things. Well, what are you saying? Sometimes God allows us to see things, and we fight God because we don't want to see Him that way. We don't want, and that's not wise. When you allow Him to come in and He allows you to see things through His eyes, we should not be fighting Him because that's not how we want to see it. It's difficult to see things through the eyes of God. So it's difficult to walk in your wisdom until you turn your life over to Christ. And if you don't turn your life to Christ and lean to His own understanding and not yours, your wisdoms will be skewed. Because what you will be doing, you'll be spurting and sprouting out facts without it being truth. Wisdom allows you to move in truth versus facts. Okay? And so what happens is, it has to be attached to God. It's a God attachment. And when you don't use that, all you're doing is quoting scripture and quoting facts versus moving in truth. I'm hoping you're getting that. I might have to go back again because I don't know if it's good enough for me yet. And so when I'm talking about walking in wisdom, there's an application that comes along with what you've seen through the eyes of God. There is an application. Okay, first of all, study, that's to learn. The next one was heed, to take notice. To take notice. All right? For instance, I saw a commercial the other day. Oh, it's been a while. And the young lady and the young man was going out, and he remembered the beverage that she enjoyed. And she was awed by that. She was awed by the fact that he remembered the beverage she enjoyed. And all he did was get all those brownie points for just taking note of somebody he was with. Little things that you have to heed to. Little things. You know, little lessons. I was riding around with one of my sons one day, and there's a little arrow in the dashboard near the gas tank. The picture of the little gas tank, and it's an arrow. And so when you're driving a rental car, you're not driving your own car, that arrow helps you indicate which side the tank is on. So when you pull up, you know where to position your car. Little things like that. There's lessons for us to learn every day. And as a grown man, he didn't realize, wow, I didn't ever know what that was for. You know, and so those are the little things that you pay attention to, the observations. That's good, Mavis, that you draw from. For instance, if I saw a little boy outside of school after school hours, maybe hour after school hours, sitting on a stoop, what would your observation be? Heed. What would your observation be? If about an hour after school and he's sitting on the stoop, what would your observation be? Or would you just think no big deal because it's a schoolyard? Benita said his mom was late. I like that. What would your observation be? Somebody forgot to pick him up. Okay, so that's heeding. So what would your application be? See, it has to go like that. Donji says he's lost. Okay? What would your application be now? Come on, y'all. Good Otis. Good Mavis. So now tell me, what would your application be? Good Hillary. Good Robin. Good Kathy. I'm running a little slower than most. Okay, Kim said take him inside. Communicate with the boy. I like that, Stephen. Nowadays, you got to watch even when you communicate with kids you don't know. Call the police. Not getting caught with somebody, kid in the car. Good, Jessica. To ask him why he's alone. Good. Good. Attempt to assist. Go ahead, officer. Attempt to assist. That's right. How can I assist? I like that. The bottom line is, it's supposed to fire just like that. So just because there's a bunch of kids out and he's in front of the school, you've got to watch his posture. You've got to watch his demeanor. Was his head up? Was his head sunk down? Did he look like he was elated to be there? Those are the things we take heed of. We are so now bruised by society and how society sees us, we don't see anything. We are so afraid to live that we don't see anything. And as African Americans, I understand it, but as Christians, we've got to tunnel through. We've got to tunnel through because there is a studying that needs to take place, a heeding that needs to take place, and an application that definitely needs to take place. And it definitely should be done and start in our churches. People are in need, and we cannot keep turning our eye to that. We see the need. There is something that can be done. That's what the body of Christ is all about. And so when we don't do that, we cannot walk in wisdom because we're too busy full of ourselves thinking, oh, I got to get to the weave store. I got to get to the hair store. I got to get to the grocery store. I'm so busy ripping and running that we don't see. Do you realize that the conversations that Jesus had with the woman at the well was a study, heed, and application all in a half an hour? You all remember that he awakened her on the inside because he paid her some attention. Somebody can be awakened by your presence if you are heeding. Communication. I think Otis said that. That's the key. But nobody wants to get involved now because of the perilous times that we live in. Well, you cannot be wise and not get involved. Write that down. There's no such thing as being wise without involvement. There is some type of involvement that comes with wisdom. Now, we've realized what we could do with the child that's sitting outside the school. You know, take him inside, call for assistance, communicate with the young adult from a distance, all of which is very important. But when we don't take heed, we would have never noticed that child. You've heard stories how children were on the bus all night long, or children were on the bus 6 hours later because no one paid any attention. Because you didn't hear any noise, you thought all the kids were off the bus. So you locked the bus up and everybody's looking for the kid. It was in the news. And then they found the kid 6 hours later on the bus because he had fallen asleep. And I guess the bus driver, who should have been the wise one, didn't take note to walk the bus. How much would it have taken to walk down the aisle of the bus and walk back? The wisdom of it. See, the wisdom is this. I'm a bus driver, let's just say. I hear this story, and do you know what I'm going to do every day? I'm going to go. See, that's wisdom. The wisdom is I saw somebody else get burnt, so the wisdom is now I got to study it, take heed to it, and then apply. So once I see that you touched the stove, and now your fingers are blistered, I can't figure out why I would touch the stove. This seems like it's just so simple, but some of y'all are not doing it because you're doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. It is my theory that some of you are afraid to do it because you think that you'll be suckers if you do it. Let's go to 1 Samuel 25. Because, you know, I got some, I dropped something. I got it. I got some feedback in reference to my message Sunday when I was saying, ladies, sometimes we talk too much. Because you really cannot heed when you're talking. You really cannot study when you're talking. Because you're supposed to be learning. Now, in 1 Samuel 25, somebody DM'd me and said that she ain't bowing down to no man. And that's okay. If that's how you feel, you've got to do it. But remember, I said if you allow God through God's eyes. See, that's that natural self. This is what I keep trying to tell you. Your natural selves are getting in the way of your wisdom. When you begin to get too natural and then you begin to bring up the hurt of your past, then the thing that Abigail did, you could never do. But I want you to recognize that it said that Abigail's husband, Nabal, was a rude man, right? So she had already, obviously, if we want to put a story together, she had been brutalized because he was mean and nasty. So if he was already mean and nasty, then how did she jump off that horse to bow for David? Why didn't she just use her natural self? Like, I'm bowing to no man. You know, where was that? See, because that wasn't wise. That's why she didn't do it. You cannot show the wisdom of God if you want to keep stepping in front of somebody. Talk to me, I talk back. Come on now, TikTok. Quit moving God out the way. I know I got to get off of TikTok. They tell me that all the time. And so when these things happen, it's you working, not God. I need you to have wisdom through God's eyes. Do you understand me? If I take these glasses off, I can see. I can see me a little bit, but I can't see the words. I can see me a big bit, but I can't see the words. So the clarity of working this product, I would have to put my eyes on, the eyes of God. I would have to have assistance. When you want to be wise, you need assistance. Christ is your assistance. He's the navigator. Do you understand that? You're navigating through his eyes. And of course, application to move and to navigate. You know, you can't find a mate because you're too busy looking at body parts. You can't find a mate because you're looking at beacon scores. You can't find a mate because, you know, everybody's out there branding. Everybody's out there branding. Make your request known unto God. Philippians 4. Yeah. He'll do the rest. Don't get anxious. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't seeing. I forgot they were in my hand. So, this is what I'm suggesting to you. In order to walk in this wisdom, in order to just walk in this wisdom, you just right now put everything down and say, I relinquish it done to you, God. I'm just done. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. Just give it to him. Just relinquish right now. Just give it to him. And then just let him move you accordingly, like a checker piece or a chess piece. Right. But I'm talking about the study part. I'm talking about the wisdom part. I'm talking about the eyes part, not the movement. The application is yours. You decide if you want to apply it or not. If you see somebody get burnt by the stove for touching it, you decide if you want to touch that stove. Because then you got to decide what would be the benefit of me touching the stove. What am I trying to glean? When I'm looking, what am I trying to glean? What am I trying to receive? What is it that I can see that can make me better? So we go back to the story about the little boy sitting in front of the school. So why would you get involved? Why would you get involved and try to help the little boy? Why would you get involved? See, all this is processing. You got to figure all that out. Because most people, I ain't getting involved in that. That's the first thing people say. Why would you get involved? Yeah, Benita's a mandated reporter, right? Obligated. Why would you get involved? Maybe she says, because I care, okay? Why would you get involved? Jessica said, wouldn't want to lead him to pray. Feel sorry for him, Kathy Hudson. If we are Christians, we don't have a choice. Do you understand that? Do you understand the road that you took when you said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give my life to Christ? That is our job, to care for others. If we see hurt, to assist. We've lost a lot of that because we become so me-focused, but it allows our wisdom to be clogged. I'm not saying that everything that you see you get involved in. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's easier when you lean for God to give you the instruction through his wisdom, through his eyes, than you decide. Because before you know it, everything you see, you be like, don't do that, don't touch her. Some things is best if you walk away, call 911, and you get in your car. See, those are the wisdoms I'm talking about. There are so many ways to help. There are so many ways to help that child sitting on that stoop. There are so many ways. So you've got to lean to God for the definitions of those wisdoms. Because we live in perilous times. But we cannot be afraid to operate as he would operate. And he would be concerned about the child on the stoop. Let's go to, did I say 1 Samuel 25? Let's go to, and then look at verse 2. We're going to skip around because I don't want to read this whole thing. How many of you all think you apply all three steps already? Study, heed, and apply. Okay, Mary Edmund says yes. How many of you all think you apply all three stages already in your life? Okay, so when you say you apply all three stages in your life, what harvest do you have? What proof of that do you have? What's your harvest? When you move in your wisdom, what harvest do you have? Good, Demetria. Okay, Jermaine, I'm just learning it. Denise Howard, she's seeking peace. Okay, Robert said God is in control. No, still working on it. Levels. Good, Hill. I agree. Because I can always do better. Not doing it again. That's good. When you're applying these three things, you see the harvest. That's good, Samosa's family. You have less drama in your life. Okay? Simple. Guys, quit looking for the difficult word. There's less drama. Your heart is at peace when everybody else is acting a fool. When people are saying things about you that are not true, when people are accusing you of things that are not true, when you're in the office place and people are pointing fingers, you have peace because you're seeing things through the eyes of God. And so since it doesn't bother you, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not putting my mouth on it. And so what we have to do is that wisdom of picking and choosing is then important. And that's why it's the eyes of God. Because if there's some uproar at work, I'm the last person to go to lunch with the person involved in the uproar. Because the association won't be good for you. Do you understand that? Some of you are not seeing how you're damaging your own lives. If this person is accused of murdering 4 people and they live next door to you, you're like, well, he's my boy. Well, maybe you need to hang low for a little while to see what your boy is all about. Because that brings drama into your life. And if people don't understand that you're trying to lessen your drama by not associating with them, then the heck with them. I wanted to say something other than heck. See, if you don't free yourself of those anxieties, then you'll never have the eyes of God because that brings peace. I'm trying to get your peace this evening. I'm trying to get you to understand that the walking you're doing is okay, but it's not gilded by God. And I need your eyes to be his eyes. Or you won't be able to do some of the things Abigail did. Abigail broke the law. She sucked up to the king. She had conversations with servants that she shouldn't have conversations with. See, you're not going to be able to do all that because you're not going to be strong enough to do it unless God is in your life. Do you understand this woman could have been beheaded? She could have been stoned to death. And we talked about the Via Dolorosa. She could have been crucified. Yes, there wasn't no men the only ones crucified. And she did all of that because of studying, heeding, and applying. Let's look at let's skip around. Let's look at verse 2. Okay. Verse 2 says, gives us a little bit. A certain man from Mon who had a property there in Carmel was very wealthy. Okay, so now we give the status of Abigail and her man. Okay, wealthy. He had 1,000, and then he tells what he had. His name was, verse 3, his name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was intelligent and a beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. So we have this beautiful woman who's allegedly educated and wise, and she married a rich man for, whatever reason. Then a woman was taken unto him. And so she has all these qualities, but she's married to a man who's domineering. Can you see that? And so let's just speculate just for a moment. This beauty, her beauty allowed her to be chosen. Okay, I bet you $100 billion zillion he didn't choose her for her brains. Some of y'all got it wrong. Some of y'all got the location of the brain wrong. We'll talk about that later. Now, what we have here is a woman that was drawn unto Nabal, and he summons for her, like of those times. So I'm sure he chose her for her beauty, never realizing that her wisdom would get his behind. All right, I'm going to break this thing down. It's a whole nother story. We'll turn that and twist that later. Look at verse 4. While David was in the wilderness, so what he did, David was in the wilderness. He had his men protect Nabal and his men and his sheep, because it was sheep shearing time. So all that says is David lent his men to protect, because out in the field, unknown territory, the marauders would rob you, kill you, rape you. All these things are happening, and so David gave protection to Nabal's people. And so then David comes back and says, okay, well, now my people got to travel in your jurisdiction. I'm asking that you watch over my people too. Can you watch over mine the way I watched over yours? And that didn't sit too well with Nabal. And so this is when we get down to verse 9. Go to verse 9. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal his message in David's name. Now remember, the representation of David's men was in David's name, so they had to give protocol. My servant asked me to give you this message, because they wouldn't have been able to be heard without using David's name. And then Nabal said, I'm not doing that. He just said, who is this David, and who is his son of Jesse? I don't care anything about that. Now, we're not dealing with Nabal at this time, because he's already been identified as what? Surly and mean. Okay, so that means he's an emotional man, right? And so you cannot show wisdom while you're emotional. Write that down. There's no wisdom when you're emotional. It's just emotion. See, because there's a difference between emotion and passion. And so what happens is, now he's emotional, and he's got a reputation for being emotional, and he's got a reputation for being mean. And David still made the plea through his men, and he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he said, why should I do that for you? I don't know nothing about you. Then let's go to verse 12. David's men turned around and went back. There's nothing for him to do. He says no. When they arrived, they told David everything, okay? David said, here, let's strap up. I got 600 men here. I'm going to take 400 with me. I'm going to leave 200 here. Everybody get their weapons. In the meantime, I'm doing Cliff Notes now. In the meantime, verse 14, one of the servants told Abigail. Okay? Now, first of all, it was against law to discuss the king's business, Nabal's business, with his wife. So the desperation of the servant, as well as the intelligence of Abigail, now joined together in this verse 14. So now Abigail has information that she should not have, because she goes on to say earlier, I did not know you sent them, David. I was not aware. So it says in verse 14, one of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at him. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Night and day, they were all around us the whole time we were herding our sheep near them. Now, think it over and see what you can do. So, what he's saying, wisdom is noticed by other people. Yes, because wisdom is also spread by witness. When someone moves you out of a situation, out of the gratitude, you begin to mention their names more frequently. Yeah, because you give homage to who helped you through. And so what's happening here, now that the notice of her intelligence and her wisdom is now recognized by servants. Now, servants can't communicate, so they're kind of looking at it from a distance. It says here, now think it over, verse 17. Now think it over, ponder on it, give it some thought, heed to it. This is what the servant is suggesting, and see what you can do. Now, that is the most didactic statement in the whole text, because now he's asking a woman to act out of character based on the law at that time. Right. But he knew somewhere inside that she was capable. Are you understanding that? wisdom allows people to know that you know the right buttons to push or the right doors to open. And it says, consider what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. Now, this is crazy to me, because it says now it's hanging over our master. Now, the master should have been the one who had the intelligence to snuff the situation, but he didn't. So he said it's hanging over our master and his whole household, meaning I'm scared for me and my family. So this is more important than just Nabal. This is everybody who works here, the whole land here. It says he is such a wicked man. Then he describes Nabal as wicked, meaning I'm sure Nabal did this thinking that this would have no residue, that nothing would come to pass about turning down David. But obviously Nabal did not glean. He did not heed, because he didn't know who David was. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Sometimes when you're attached to something, I'm going to say Merritt, when you're attached to something, somebody's got to be the wiser. Somebody's going to have to override somebody else. None of the three characteristics did Nabal have. He did not study, he did not heed, and he lacked application. What he had was money. That's why I say money ain't. That's why I say money ain't everything. You know, if I have wisdom, I can make $2 and do some things. But if you have $2 billion, somebody better wait. What? Somebody said, "What? Call Mike Tyson." I don't know if y'all remember the story of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson made millions. And in a couple years it was gone, because he didn't know what to do with it. Right. But if you're wise with $2, you're well on your way. But if you're a fool in his money, soon parted. That's what the word says. And so what happens is, all Nabal had was money. So the foundation of wisdom in that household came from what? A woman. Okay. Boobaloo? Okay. Anyway, so here we are. It says, he is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. But check this out. Okay, y'all don't understand that. So the servant must have heeded as well. When you say, why, Pastor? Because the servant did not ask Abigail to talk to her husband. He asked Abigail to talk to David. Y'all missed that right there. Two men. Two strong men. Two wealthy men. But obviously, he just had heeded from the kingdom that Nabal didn't even listen to Abigail. That's why he didn't say, talk to Nabal. Let him know that the whole we're gonna lose this battle. No, he says talk to David. So there were other people practicing heeding, but none of those characteristics came from Nabal. Verse 18, Abigail acted quickly, movement. She acted quickly, so she recognized the sense of time through wisdom. Wow! Time is money. Write that down. Write that down. I keep trying to tell you all that all the time. Quit lollygagging. There's money to be made if you choose to have it. It's not necessary. Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread. That's called a peace offering. Look at what she did. She took it from Nabal's stock. 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 shears of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on the donkeys. We talked about her strength earlier. Then she told her servants, go ahead, I'll follow you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. It wasn't necessary, because at this point, Nabal wasn't a part of her wisdom equation. Sometimes in your wisdom equation, God puts people there for you to use. He was not to be used at this point. He made no difference. Do you understand that? When you're moving in wisdom, sometimes people make no difference. That's why it's your wisdom. That's why it's through your eyes, through the eyes of God. David had, it says here, verse 20, as she came riding her donkey into a mountain ravine. Now this is all symbolic. There was David and his men descending. See, all those things are symbolic, okay? Descending, coming down toward her as she met him, meaning that it was an uphill battle for her. Do you understand the symbolicness of, I love this kind of stuff. So he was coming down, that means she had to look up to him as he was coming down, meaning that there was already symbolic reasons why she jumped off the donkey and got on her knees. David had just said, it's been useless. All my watching over the fellow's property in the wilderness. So now we see David. You know how you're going like, I can't get over. That cat did that. All the while you drive, I know he ain't turned me down. And so now he's resonating in his anger. So now David is really pissed off because the closer he gets, I can't get over. I did that for that. You know how you get. You know how you can stew yourself up. You know how you can pump yourself up. So David is saying this to himself. I can't get over. This happened to me. And he has paid me back evil for good. Verse 22. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely. If my morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him. Read that again. Be it ever so severe. If by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him. Man, I'm so ticked off if one person survives. Ooh! So now you see how he has resonated in his anger. And I'll tell you what, you cannot be wise when what? When you're angry. You just cannot do it. You cannot do it. So then it says that when Abigail saw David, so she'd already seen his countenance. Somebody saying heed. She was paying attention. She's seen his countenance. She knew that the fire that was burning in him. She understood that. And so she couldn't go fire to fire. You ain't gonna come get my husband. See, she couldn't do that. She couldn't do that because it would have been nothing to him to take her out. So she had to do some things differently. What did she do? When Abigail saw David, she quickly, okay, y'all missing this, man. This makes me so happy. And I think it was misinterpreted Sunday, because we were talking about it. But yet, I do think, sisters, we talk too much. I do. I'm a quiet big woman because I want gifts, you know. I ain't gonna lie. But this is what the concern is. The concern is her immediacy through the position of humility. She diffused him right there. I was like, my God, look at Abigail. Abigail's my second sis. You know I like Delilah because her tongue was wicked. But Abigail, look at this girl working right here. Abigail jumps off immediately. She's already looking up to him. And I know his countenance was... She jumps off that donkey and bows down before David with her face to the ground, giving him no eye contact. Why? Because giving him eye contact that she had learned would be, come on, let's battle. No, she kept her eyes down. God, when you're talking to a male that you love and you want to get something handled, don't look at him directly in his eye like you some dude. No. Call me if you really want to know how this works. Because it's another form of manipulation. They love it. You know, they going down. They just don't know. Anyway, it says here, just like David went down. Oh, Jessica, that was good. Jessica over here like, tell me more about my eyes. It says here, I can't stop it. She fell at his feet and said, pardon your servant, my Lord, and let me speak to you. So now she's asking for forgiveness. And she's because she's out of order. She shouldn't be the one coming out. Okay? So she's got to be extremely humble because she's out of order. She's breaking all types of laws right here. He could have said, off with his head. I mean, anything could have happened here. You know, so she's got to come apologetic. So she's like, I know this technique works. Obviously, because she was so good at it, she had done it before. I don't think it worked on Nabal, and she was in a bad situation. But she handled this. She was a professional at this. She jumped down, got her face to the ground. She fell at his feet. Then she said, pardon your servant, my Lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Please pay no attention to my Lord. To that wicked man, Nabal. Now, she now calls him wicked, the same words that were used earlier to describe him. So now what she's doing is, watch how she moves. This is so great. He is just like his name. Then she identifies him by what he's called. So that means he practices it because it's in his name. Anything that, you watch what you name your kids. This is what I tell you all the time. Quit putting E's on names because you don't name him after his daddy. Stop that stuff. Get some origin of these names. I'm telling you, because they begin to practice. So Nabal practiced foolishness and folly. And it says here, Oh my God, my time is up. Okay, I tell you what. I'm going to finish this, so hang in there with me. Just let me finish the story, I promise. Please no attention, my Lord. Pay no attention. The wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name means fool and folly. It goes with them. Meaning that he's embodied the name. And so when you name your kids stuff, like, don't name a dog Lucifer. Come on now. I don't care if it's a Chihuahua. My daughter named Satana. What? Watch what? Watch what? Debiella. Well, that's devil. Come on. Follow me now. This is what's happening here. She says it follows him. She said it follows him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men, my Lord. Because what she's saying is because I would have broke the law earlier. Had I seen them, I'd have done this earlier. And now, my Lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives and as you live, since the Lord has kept you, now she's prophesying over him because she knows he's a believer. How would she know he's a believer? She had to glean. She had to heed. She had to hear the story of David and Goliath. She had to know the stories of Jesse. She had to know the stories. But sometimes people get so much money they think they don't have to glean. So Nabal had money because he had things, but he lacked wisdom. She began to speak over, the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands. May your enemies and all who are intent on harming my Lord be like Nabal. Push him to the side and left this gift with your servant has brought to my Lord be given to the men who follow you. So what she's saying is ain't no need to do bloodshed right now, my Lord. Let me negotiate with you. Now that's something crazy because she was not in the negotiation process because of her gender. So now she's appealing to the king to let me write this contract. What are you saying? She's moved in wisdom before. Y'all missed that. The confidence that she has here, people know when you're not wise because you're non-decisive. Write that down. Because when you are not decisive, you're not moving in wisdom. She was too decisive. She had done this before. She was confident in what she was doing. Then she asked him again, please forgive your servant's presumption. Still humble. The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord. Because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies, he will hurl away from the pocket of a sling. So now he's intrigued. Because it wasn't no internet. It wasn't no CNN. There was no news. So how far had the story of David and Goliath got? She's making references to things that now, because every man loves hearing about himself. Can I talk to you? Every man loves to have smoke blown. She's blowing heavy smoke right here. See, she's doing it here. She's told him about his conquest and how he slayed, Goliath. She says that. She makes reference to it. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing he promised concerning him, so how would he know? How would she know what the Lord had promised him? Come on, she had been paying attention. Appointed him ruler over Israel. My Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord success, remember your servant. She said, so there's no need for you to do all that. Take this offering. My husband is an idiot. I come in peace. And these are the accolades that the Lord has said. There's no need to dirty your hands here. David said to Abigail, praise be to the Lord. Oh my God, now he done blessed her. He blessed her because she manipulated the situation and diffused it immediately. The God of Israel who has sent you today to meet me. So then, because she spoke over him, he believed that the Lord had sent her. Do you understand what I'm saying? Wisdom puts you in places that knowledge could never take you. Write that down. I gotta go. The bottom line is, she did such a good job with that. Read it for yourself. She did such a good job with that, that not too long after that, Nabal died of a crispy heart, heart and heart. And then once Nabal died, Abigail was free to go with her Lord, and he sought her. Now, the question is this time, did he seek her for her beauty or for her brains? Now, we know what Nabal sought her for, but I think David sought her for her 3 stages of intelligence. She studied, she heeded, and she applied. Before you tie the knot, before you join with someone, you all might want to take these 3 steps into consideration. These are steps to build on. All right? Got to walk in wisdom. Get up every morning accessing your wheelchair, accessing your wisdom. Get up every morning accessing your wisdom. Don't do anything after you open your eyes. You say, thank you, Jesus, for waking me up. Then access your wisdom. Then you say a short prayer, Lord, allow me to see things as you would have me see them throughout the course of the day. I trust that you'll navigate me the way I need to go. See, these things need to be communicated. These things need to be communicated with God, so he'll know that you're willing. And then begin to move accordingly. Let God guide you. Trust him. I tell you what, walking in wisdom is what all need to do. Drama free. That's what it leads you to, drama free. My time is up. My time is way up. And I thank you for spending your time with me. I'm sorry that I used extra 6 minutes. I'll do better on Sunday. Let us not forget to go to YouTube, look at this again, and once you look at it on YouTube, then share it from YouTube so we can get more activity on our YouTube page. Hey, I love you guys. Thank you for being with me tonight. Stephen and Otis and Jessica and Bing and Jasmine and Sister Katrina and First Lady Cousins and Lady Edmonds. Mavis, love you guys. Love you dearly. Shanette, Minister Amy, Simone, you be safe out there. Dodger, Sherelle, Rochelle, Megan, Krusty, the Murphys, Bubbles LaRue,